Imagine a world where sleep no longer exists. At first, it might sound like the ultimate dream, endless time. 24 hours a day, every day. To work, to play, to create, to achieve. No more drowsy mornings. No more coffee just to stay awake. Humanity suddenly gifted with a lifetime of extra hours. Imagine how much could be built, invented, or experienced if sleep was simply erased from our biology. But quickly, the cracks begin to show. Sleep is not a weakness. It is not wasted time. It is the silent architect of our health, the invisible guardian of our sanity, and the sacred reset of our minds. Without it, the human body and brain begin to collapse in ways far more terrifying than we usually admit. Within days of no sleep, the brain starts to betray us. Focus slips away like water through clenched fists. Memory becomes unreliable, fragile, like a photograph left in the rain. The sharpness of thought dulls. Creativity shrivels. Even basic problem solving becomes a mountain to climb. Imagine scientists, doctors, pilots, or engineers unable to trust their own decisions because their minds are disintegrating in slow motion. Emotions, once steady, turn into storms. Without sleep, anger flares faster. Fear grows sharper. Sadness deepens into despair. The balance of the human psyche begins to tilt. People snap at loved ones. Arguments erupt in every home, and the world feels permanently on edge. Sleep is not just about rest. It is emotional gravity, pulling us back to center. Without it, everyone begins to float into chaos. And then there is the body. Muscles ache without recovery. The immune system weakens, opening the gates to disease. The heart struggles, blood pressure rises, and every organ begins to suffer. Sleep is nature's repair shop, working in silence every night. Without it, the machinery of life grinds down, slowly but relentlessly. Humanity, in this sleepless reality, would grow weaker, sicker, and older at double speed. Now imagine society as a whole. In the first days, productivity might explode. Factories never resting, businesses always open, cities buzzing around the clock. But very soon, mistakes multiply. Accidents on the road, errors in hospitals, failures in technology. A surgeon with shaking hands, a driver drifting across lanes. A world that never stops but keeps stumbling, faster and faster toward disaster. Relationships would suffer too. Without the nightly pause, the quiet intimacy of lying beside someone, the shared ritual of ending a day together, human connection frays. Families become restless strangers under the same roof. Children grow up without bedtime stories. Lovers never whisper goodnight. A crucial rhythm of human closeness disappears. And what about dreams? Dreams are more than imagination. They are the deep language of the subconscious, the theater of the soul. In a sleepless world, there would be no dreams, no mysterious symbols, no hidden messages from the unconscious, no nightly journey into the depths of the self. Humanity would lose an entire dimension of inner life. A world without sleep is not freedom. It is not liberation. It is a slow, unstoppable unraveling of everything that makes us human. Time without sleep is not a gift, but a curse. And in this nightmare reality, the real question becomes, not how long could we live, but how long until we collapse? What if humans stop at sleeping entirely? At first glance, the idea sounds almost miraculous. Imagine suddenly gaining 1/3 more life, as if every human were gifted with thousands of extra days. A world where no one ever yawns in the morning, where the sun and moon share equal shifts over cities that never rest. Factories could run forever. Businesses could remain open around the clock. Creativity, ambition, and industry would never pause. Humanity, it seems, would be unstoppable. But this vision is only an illusion, a dangerous one. Sleep is not wasted time. It is a hidden pillar of life. Without it, every cell, every thought, and every emotion begins to fracture. the cost of abandoning sleep would not be measured in hours gained, but in humanity lost. Within the first few sleepless days, the cracks appear. The human brain starts to betray itself. Concentration slips like sand through open fingers. Memories fade before they are even formed. Problem-solving slows, decision-making falters, and logic becomes blurred. Imagine doctors operating in a fog, teachers forgetting their own lessons, pilots unable to focus on the horizon. A world without sleep is a world where no one can trust their own mind. Emotions unravel next. Irritability sharpens into rage. Anxiety blossoms into paranoia. Joy becomes fragile, replaced by a constant undercurrent of exhaustion and despair. Sleep is the invisible hand that resets our emotional balance. Remove it, and humanity begins to drift into madness. Friendships fracture, families fight, nations grow restless. Without rest, society itself begins to fracture at its core. The body, too, begins its slow collapse. Muscles never fully recover. The immune system weakens, leaving us vulnerable to every passing illness. The heart strains, blood pressure spikes, and hormones fall into chaos. Sleep is the body's workshop, where systems repair, cells regenerate, and strength returns. Without it, the body becomes a machine that breaks faster than it can be fixed. On a societal scale, the effects would be catastrophic. At first, productivity might soar, cities glowing with endless energy, workers laboring without pause. But soon, errors would multiply. Machines would break from careless oversight. Accidents would spike on roads and in workplaces. Even the most advanced technologies would fail if guided by sleepless, error-prone humans. Progress would collapse under the weight of its own mistakes. And then there is the loss we can now measure, the silence of dreams. In this sleepless world, no one would dream again. No more subconscious symbols, no more hidden messages from the psyche, no nightly journey into the unknown landscapes of the mind. Humanity would be stripped of its most intimate dialogue with the self. We would lose not just rest, but imagination itself. So, what if humans stopped sleeping entirely? The answer is simple. Humanity would not be elevated, but undone. The sleepless world is not a brighter one. It is darker, colder, and lonelier. Time without sleep is not a gift, but a poison. And the true question becomes not what we could achieve without it, but how quickly we would fall apart. Sleep is not just rest. It is a silent architect, building and rebuilding us every single night. When we close our eyes, our bodies do not switch off. They switch into one of the most complex and vital processes of survival. Muscles repair torn fibers. The immune system fortifies its defenses. And hormones recalibrate the delicate balance that keeps us alive. Sleep is the hidden healer, the invisible medicine that no laboratory has ever been able to replicate. But beyond the body, sleep is the guardian of the mind. During deep slumber, the brain organizes the chaos of the day. Memories are sorted, experiences are stitched together, and useless information is gently erased. It is here that learning becomes permanent, that knowledge transforms from fragile impressions into stable truth. Without this nightly cleansing, the mind becomes cluttered, like a desk covered with endless papers, where nothing can be found and nothing can be built. Sleep also polishes the mirror of our emotions. Every night, it resets the storm inside us, draining away the poison of stress and restoring the calm waters of balance. A rested mind sees clearly. An unrested one magnifies every problem into catastrophe. Anger sharpens, sadness deepens, fear multiplies. Without sleep, even the smallest challenges feel insurmountable, and hope itself begins to slip through our fingers. And then there are the dreams. To many, they are illusions, but in truth, they are bridges. Dreams connect the conscious and the unconscious, weaving symbols, fears, and desires into stories that speak in a language older than words. In them, we find creativity, solutions, and glimpses of our hidden selves. Imagine a world stripped of dreams, a humanity without this secret dialogue with its own soul. The loss would not only be scientific, but spiritual. Sleep, then, is not wasted time. It is an investment into tomorrow. It is the pause that gives meaning to motion, the silence that allows the music of life to be heard. Without it, the body falters, the mind crumbles, and the spirit withers. With it, we do not merely survive. We thrive, we create, we love, we endure. So when we say, sleep is not just rest, what we truly mean is this: it is the foundation of everything we are. To lose it would not simply be to lose hours in bed, it would be to lose the very essence of being human. But imagine the possibilities. What if the chains of sleep were broken and humanity suddenly inherited 1/3 more life? 24 hours of wakefulness transformed into 36, endless days without the interruption of night. At first, it sounds like a gift, almost divine in its promise. Twice the time to learn, twice the time to love, twice the time to build the future. So, what do you say? Do you still like life without sleep? Don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to receive more interesting content. Picture scientists working through the night without fatigue, unraveling mysteries of the universe at a pace never before imagined. Artists painting, writing, composing without pause, channeling inspiration that flows like an unbroken river. Families sharing moments, travelers exploring further, inventors reshaping the world, all without the need to stop, to rest, to dream. Humanity could become a force of unstoppable progress. The world itself would change. Cities would never sleep, because they wouldn't have to. Lights would glow perpetually, streets would never be empty, and economies would pulse with a rhythm of constant productivity. A single lifetime could hold the achievements of two. Knowledge, innovation, and creativity could expand at a scale so vast it feels almost infinite. And on a personal level, imagine never wasting a single second. No more days cut short by fatigue. No more early nights when dreams steal hours from ambition. We could master new skills in record time, devour books without limit, or live double lives. Worker by day, creator by night, forever awake, forever active. But this dazzling vision comes with a question. Would it truly make us greater, or would it strip us of something deeper? For while the possibilities seem endless, the cost may be invisible. What does progress mean without pause? What is joy without silence? Could endless wakefulness sharpen our genius or erode it into madness? Because possibility is a double-edged sword. The same endless hours that allow a poet to write epics could also chain a worker to an eternal shift. The same sleepless cities that glow with innovation could drown in noise, pollution, and ceaseless motion. More time does not always mean better time. Without the rhythm of rest, life risks becoming not richer, but emptier. And still, the temptation remains. Humanity has always chased more. More knowledge, more power, more time. To live without sleep would feel like stealing fire from the gods, like breaking free from nature's oldest law. But fire burns. And what we gain in hours, we might lose in humanity. So yes, imagine the possibilities, but also imagine the price. In a sleepless world, the line between genius and madness blurs. At first, the brilliance would be undeniable. Imagine minds unshackled from the nightly pause, working without interruption. Philosophers writing volumes in weeks instead of years. Inventors refining machines at lightning speed. Musicians composing symphonies as if their inspiration were an endless current. The sleepless mind could appear as something almost divine, a well of ideas, pouring faster than time itself can hold. But genius is fragile. It requires silence, pauses, and reflection. Without the rest that sleep provides, the flood of thoughts turns chaotic. Creativity becomes noise. Innovation mutates into obsession. The same endless energy that fuels brilliance can consume it, burning so fiercely that nothing remains but ash. In this sleepless world, the human mind would become a battlefield. Neurons firing without rest. Circuits overloaded with constant activity. Hallucinations would creep in like shadows, indistinguishable from imagination. What once was inspiration becomes delusion. A painter sees visions, but they are no longer art. They are distortions of a brain that cannot quiet itself. A scientist searches for answers, but finds only paranoia in the patterns. And society? It would begin to fracture. The sleepless elite, those who thrive on the thin edge of brilliance, might rise like demigods above the rest, visionaries, leaders, creators, but their fall would be just as swift. For every genius elevated, countless others would descend into madness. Anxiety, paranoia, and psychosis would no longer be the exception. They would be the new normal. History teaches us that the line between genius and madness has always been thin. Some of the greatest minds, artists, inventors, philosophers, danced dangerously close to the edge, but sleep was their tether, the nightly anchor pulling them back to reality. Remove it, and that tether snaps. The descent is no longer a risk. It is inevitable, and yet, the temptation would remain. Who among us would not trade safety for brilliance, even at the cost of sanity? What leader would not crave sleepless innovation to fuel their empire? What artist would not risk madness for eternal inspiration? A sleepless world would not just blur the line between genius and madness, it would erase it completely. In the end, we would all be walking that razor's edge. Some would rise, glowing with brilliance, while others would fall, consumed by shadows. But no one would remain untouched. For in a world without sleep, the price of genius is madness, and the cost of endless wakefulness is the collapse of the very mind that sought it. Join us as we explore the extraordinary, the impossible, and the questions that haunt our curiosity. Subscribe, imagine, question. Welcome to What If Reality.